welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend, and that you're ready to listen to me talk for another however many minutes. Anyways, without further ado, I just wanted to say welcome again, and let's jump right in. Today's video, I wanted to talk about my first year experiences, both good and bad. And when I say bad, I don't mean like bad, I mean more like things that I could have done better. So I guess regrettable, but not regrettable to the point where, oh my god, my life sucks because of this. More like, I could have done better. Right, so on that note, I'm gonna start off positive because who doesn't love a happy beginning? And a bad ending? Well, the ending's gonna be good too. So, first things first, my university experience overall, I wanna get this clear, was positive. Even though there were some aspects that were slightly more negative or slightly more regrettable, overall my entire experience was positive. I was very happy with it. I enjoyed it, and first things first, the reason I enjoyed it so much was most likely because of all of the amazing people that I met. I met so many great people from my course, great people from my accommodation, from just around campus in general, and all of these people ended up staying in my life throughout quarantine. And I feel like personally, this whole quarantining experience and the lockdown experience and being separated from everybody for 5, almost 6 months, it's really shown, you know, if you can hold a long distance relationship with someone like this, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship, it's a good relationship. And that's kind of what I've proven with most of these friends. I've stayed in touch with almost everyone that I met at university, and that is mind-blowing to me because staying in touch with people is hard. It really is, unless you are genuinely invested in these people. And even though I've only known these people for a short time, a huge thanks for being in my life and hopefully staying. Right, next things next, continuing with the social aspect of things, food. I discovered so many good foods this year, and my favorite of all of these foods was, of course, creams. I've mentioned creams before, and again I'll say it, if you're English from the UK, you most likely know what creams is. I'm not, I'm international, and I didn't know what creams was, and it was an amazing discovery for me, and so I ended up spending tons of money there, but it was so worth it. I had so many little creams date with a friend, you know, we'd just call each other up and say, hey, let's go to creams, and it was just great. You know, I really, really love creams, and I'm excited to go back there next year, or at least order from there, depending on how life is settling down in a month's time. But yes, all of that, food, I enjoyed food dates with my flatmates, with my friends. Those were some of my favorites. Next thing would definitely be going into a more university side of things. On my university, just general life, I became a Warwick student blogger and ambassador. And both of these experiences were new to me. I mean, there's a reason I started this YouTube channel. I'm a Warwick blogger. Hello. And I have really enjoyed sharing my experiences with people and, you know, telling people the news of what's up. And student ambassadoring as well, giving tours of life sciences and explaining to students what I actually study and what it's like, and explaining to parents that, you know, this is a really good course and it is a really good university to send your kid to. I absolutely loved that. I remember being a student at an open day, so being the person helping those students is just something that I really enjoy doing. I do love it. I love being an ambassador. I'm excited to do more ambassador stuff next year, whether it's online or not. I got you guys, don't worry. Okay, next as well, positive experiences in my course were labs, and most particularly my animal anatomy mouse dissection lab. So, a little backstory. I had never in my life dissected anything before. Most people will come into university having done at least one biology class in school where they dissected something like a heart or an eye or a frog, if you're, you know, going back to those stereotypical American high school movies. We're all in this together. I never got the chance to do any of that because In one of my schools, my teacher just decided not to that year. Then I moved schools, I missed the class, I moved schools again, and I just never really got around to dissecting. I always ended up missing it, or my teachers just weren't doing it that year. So this opportunity to dissect something under a professional eye as well was an amazing experience. I was a bit over fanatic about it. You can probably, if you ask any of my friends, they'll tell you, because I talked about it nonstop for about a day. But it's because this is something that's really interesting to me, and looking at the physical internal organs of a living, well, once living thing was really cool, because it's, you can only look at something on a textbook in certain ways. You can't really get that whole 3D thing, and then taking tissue samples of that and looking at the tissues and all of that. Animal anatomy and histology was such a fun module. I definitely recommend it if you're a very hands-on person. But yes, that was my absolute favorite. And then on labs and whatnot, learning how to do them properly and learning how to write lab reports and figuring out that it's not as hard as everyone actually makes it seem at the beginning. And there's a template that you can follow, and it's really fun. All of that was amazing. And I think as well, Gibbet Hill campus and discovering this walk from Tosselwood, that really made me happy, because the walk is absolutely beautiful. It's just gorgeous. And finally, my biggest, I guess, achievement and moment of first year was that I passed. And not only did I pass, but I passed with a first, a proper first. Which means, and I know this might not mean a lot for some people, because a lot of courses this year, especially because of COVID, decided not to count their first year. But my first year, Life Sciences fought for us to have our first year count, because we did a sufficient amount of work in terms 1 and 2. So because it counts, I have a first that counts towards my final degree, and I'm so happy about that. Yay! Okay, so that is like a really fast, like, lightning round summary of my positive experiences at university. And like I said, the majority of them were positive. The majority of my year was super positive. I had a great time. I enjoyed it. I don't have many negative things to say, but I do have a couple of lessons that I learned that I would like to share so that you can all potentially avoid making similar mistakes. So the first thing that I think I didn't do properly is find a balance between going out and staying in. In my first term, I did not go out at all. I had late nights, but they were my own, of like either binge watching a TV show, doing work, staying up in the kitchen, cooking, things like that, and not actually going out and socializing with people. And I didn't go out until the last day of term, which was an amazing day, by the way. Night. But because of that, in my first term, because I didn't go out when I could have, and I missed out on a couple of opportunities, I guess, to go out with my flat or with some friends, I felt like I'd missed out a lot in first term. And so my second term, when a lot of people did the opposite and started calming down their going out and, you know, focusing a bit more on work, I decided that I wanted to go out more, and I took it a bit overboard and I started going out all the time. It was really, really bad for my time management, for my sleeping schedule, for my wallet. Didn't bode so well. And I just couldn't find that balance. Finally, towards the end of term 2, I kind of got back into, okay, you know, I think it's really important to try and find a balance of going out from the start. If going out has been a part of your life since before university, then you're probably a lot better at, you know, finding a balance. But it just wasn't a huge thing in my life before, and then all of a sudden there was this like huge bundle of, you know what, you can, why not, and it just didn't bode well for me. So finding a balance in that, I think, is a super important factor. Another thing that I think it was something that really didn't bode well for me was I ended up missing quite a few lectures in second term because of my time management and then my bad sleeping schedule and I guess just everything combined. I started missing a couple of lectures, and I really don't recommend this. Missing lectures, it might seem okay at the start because, oh, it's just one lecture, oh, it's just 2 lectures, I have lecture capture, I can catch up later. You'll find that catching up later ends up taking you more time than actually going to the lecture, taking your notes there, and then just doing a little bit of filling in later. And it's just not worth missing lectures. Unless you're the kind of person, I did know a person who didn't go to lectures, but she lecture captured the lecture literally on the same day. So lecture capture comes out usually about an hour after the actual lecture. So she would just do her lectures all an hour later than we would, but she did them at home because that's how she studied better. And she actually didn't end up missing any lectures because she still did it that way. But I'm not as organized as she was, and so it really did not help that I missed lectures. It put me behind when it came to studying for some of the tests that I had, because rather than just studying what I already had, I had to actually go through the lectures, make the notes, and then study them. So it took me twice as long to study, and it just wasn't a great setup during second term. First term, I was actually really on top of my studying and really on top of going to lectures. I was really good about it. I only missed a couple of lectures because I was ill a couple of times. It wasn't a huge deal, but don't miss your lectures. It's not worth it, and catching up is not as easy as going to the lectures. Finally, my third mistake I could have managed to avoid was budgeting. I thought that I could budget as I went along throughout the year, learn to do it, and I would be fine. But this ended up putting me in some awkward financial situations throughout the year because I would spend either way too much or way too little, and then when I spent way too little, I thought I had a load, so I would spend way too much the next time, and then I had none, and it was just, there was no balance with my budgeting. I come from a background as well where I have been working since I was 16, but every single penny that I have ever earned before coming to university was going into a savings that would help me pay for my university. So I've never actually had to spend the money that I earned for my own things. And because of that, I never really bothered to learn how to budget. And I really wish I had. I really wish I had taken the summer before university to kind of talk with my parents and have a run through of how to budget, because it's a life skill in general, and it's super helpful because you're starting to live alone and independently, and budgeting is a huge part of that. So don't try and learn as you go. If you've already had experience managing your own money, then congratulations to you, but still, talk about learning how to budget on the next level, because when you're living with your parents, it's different. You know, they're still buying your food, and they're taking care of all of your domestic things, but now you're gonna have to do that yourself as well. You have to take that into account into your budget as well. Some people are going to be paying for their own accommodations, so you need to take that into your budget, and just accounting for all of this. Will you have a loan? Will you have a job? How are you going to be paying for things? Are you going to get help from your family? All of it. Planning it out, money it's a life skill, and it's a really helpful skill to know before coming to university, because it'll save you a lot of financial stresses when you're actually in university. So I think that really covers all of it. I think I want to wrap it up here. But I think the main thing to take away from this really is just remember that your first year is all about discovering who you are, both as a student and as a person. And so taking this time and these opportunities to meet people, to socialize, to learn how you study, don't forget to study. All of it together, it's finding that like perfect, I guess, life balance. And your first year is a great time for that. Your first year is the best time to make mistakes in university because you have a bit more leeway and you have a bit more time and a little bit more space to make these mistakes and learn, rather than saving it for your second and third year when you actually have hard work to do and it most definitely counts and you've got exams and eek. So that would be my best advice. Take your first year and use it as a huge learning experience. Yeah, on that note, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I just wanna wish everyone a happy week and weekend, unless I put something out before the next weekend. I hope you guys all have a great time. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and also go follow my Instagram because I post there, I post updates there. I will see you all next week.